33,000. And, I would say that if you're paying someone part-time, not paying benefits, 20 to 25 hours a week, let's just say you pay them, you want someone that's going to stick around, maybe you're paying them between $17 and $20 an hour. That breaks down to around $20-ish thousand a year. Mm-hmm. And then that additional expense there, the $10,000, because I anticipate we will collect 33,000 pretty easily in rents. That additional 10,000 usually winds up being a music budget, other market expenses, radio advertisement. So,
It's closer than I expected. We had a dollar to so it could mathematically be very close.
That is something we could discuss, because we've encouraged the farmers market to really take reins of their own market and create their own nonprofit, and they're not, doesn't feel like they're willing to do that. So it might be a matter of, listen, we're gonna have to go up on the.
What is the booth rental?
$20 a Saturday, $25 if they need electricity.
Seems really low.
Yeah, I know, that's very low.
We continue to be the lowest amount. I mean, most markets do charge usually 30 to 35 is what I've seen.
Is there a reason why we haven't gone up?
When's the last time we did go up?
I think it's been $20 since the market had its last time, run in 2014.
I think we need to, it can be something that we, step into it, but I think we ought to.
Just tie it in with our vision and say this is where we're trying to go, and in order for us to continue helping you,
Yeah. Well, I also think too, it's definitely part of the conversation. If they don't want to be their own organization, then this is what comes with that. So you are going to continue to be a project of the DDD. You're going to continue to benefit from all these additional advertisements that the DDD offers and the connection and right, all of those benefits that kind of come with that. And so this is something that, we have to, unless of course they do want to hire their own executive director and have their own insurance and handle all the closures and do all those other types of things, if they want to truly be independent. We explored that and it didn't really go anywhere. So, yeah.
No, I think that's too low. We need to go up.
I don't think it's going to turn anyone away either.
It will be a surprise. We'll definitely get.
I mean, it's the price of doing business.
Yeah. You say exactly what you just said. That's why I asked when
And
the
I'll-
last time we brought up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. Certainly. Okay, so maybe we should adjourn this one and move into our regular meeting.
I move we adjourn the work session.
Okay, so I guess maybe a second. I need a second. Okay, let me just make sure that. So let me get myself situated. Live. Okay, I'm ready.
We'll call the February 15th board meeting of the DDD to order.
Excuse me.
5:35 p.m. Roll call.
Frank DiVittorio.
Present.
John Exnicius.
Here.
Oswald Hollywood.
Here.
Chelsea Kestnick.
Here.
Kaylee Norton.
Here.
Cassie Reagan.
Here.
Evan Seaman.
Here.
All right, old business, approval of the January 2023 financial report. Just in your materials.
Quick question. Michelle, the unreserved fund balance, $351,000, that's money we can lend out, yes?
The loan fund balance.
Unreserved?
So you're looking at 163.
I'm looking at 351,000. That may not be correct.
Oh, it's
Yes.
on the top.
There are two separate accounts. There's an interest account, and then when the checks are basically deposited, they're kind of, the interest and the principal is put into two separate accounts, but, general fund, loan funds, yes. So 351 is basically what we, if we have a loan coming in, that's how much we have to loan out.
Okay, so we could lend that out at whatever rate we set as a, okay. And then the second, let's see here, on page 2 near the top, the miscellaneous revenue, I'm assuming those are brick sales for 14,000.
Yeah, so miscellaneous revenue, right now is mostly our brick sales. And this is January, and thinking about any deposits that may have not been caught in December. It could be, I'm trying to think what else. No, because that would be revenue to events. So yeah, that's all brick sales and maybe one bench.
Thank you. I make a motion, we approve the financials.
Second.
Frankie Vittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elsa Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kestnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I lost my agenda. Approval of minutes from January 18th, 2023. Also in your materials.
We approve the minutes from January 18, 2023.
I'll second.
Frankie Vittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elsa Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kestnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
All right, approval of the minutes from February 3rd, 2023, which was our orientation retreat.
I move we approve those minutes as well from February 3rd, 2023.
I'll second.
Frankie Vittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elsa Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kestnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
All right, moving on to new business, selection of 2023-2024 board positions. I'll nominate John Exnicius for chairman.
Second.
Frankie Vittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elsa Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kestnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
Here, should we pass the gavel to you, make it official?
Make it crazy this time.
Don't hit me.
Okay, so where we are in, with board positions, you have in your packet a list of ones that we have traditionally nominated for. Now, most of all the ones, merchant, events, residential, farmers market are all committee, well, also design, are all committee driven. So, I don't know if we'll do all of that tonight, just because we are kind of unfirm in our committee structure, but chairman, vice chair, finance chair, and design chair are usually our four that we re-nominate every year.
Okay. Well, I'll nominate Elsbeth as vice chair.
I'll second.
Frankie Vittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kestnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
I'll nominate Evan Singer for finance chair.
Second.
Frankie Vittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kestnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
And then Cassie's still willing. She does such a great job as design chair.
I'll second.
Frank DiVittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
Is there any interest in nominating any of the other?
I think someone needs to be the defense chair to, after all that conversation we had, we ought to get somebody in that position. Now.
Are you volunteering?
I'll nominate Chelsea Kesnick.
For events?
Yep.
Okay. So, Haley and Frank DiVittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
I think you'll be really good at that. Chelsea. You'll be-
I think that's probably it.
Yeah, we probably need to reassess some of these committees as well.
I will say the only item, so this was pulled from maybe an older document, because I see some stuff COVID related on there, but I think the only other item, this is just me working with Evan a little bit more with our budget regarding the residential, I mean, it's not a committee, but it's residents' desire to have those two line items in our budget almost put into its own savings account. So maybe not reviving that committee tonight, but that being something that I know that they've expressed that they
Yeah.
would like to see. And then that's what they're expecting basically feedback on, is something that they're able to do. And they know that we're trying to get our kind of processes and structure kind of together. But I just wanted to share that.
I think we should do that. I mean, we need to, I think we used to, I know we used to in the past do more projects in the neighborhoods. And we have not done that in a while, so it makes sense to at least let that money build in a fund, and then it can be something, more than a Band-Aid.
All right, so are you?
Is this going to be like part of the finance, like a finance committee meeting? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just mentioning that, because that's something that people
Sure.
who maybe we would want to see involved in the residential committee kind of brought to our attention. So if we were not appointing a residential chairman at this point in time, then I basically would not be reviving that committee,
So if we don't revive the committee, which I'm not saying that we have to, but does it make any sense to quarterly maybe have a work session, a 30-minute, 45-minute work session before our board meeting where residents can come in and, talk about what they'd like to see with it, just like an open conversation? I know we, during the board meeting might be a little cumbersome, but, and if we can't get a actual committee pulled together that meets on a regular basis, that would at least give the residents in the DDD a voice or opportunities.
I think I do too. Because they have their own forum, their own ability to
Yeah.
bring whatever they want to the board.
Yeah.
So, are we done with full position?
Yeah.
I think I'd like to move to amend, since it's kind of a position too, I'd like to move to amend the agenda to add the hiring of a part-time position for farmers market manager.
Second.
Have any seconded?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes.
Frank DiVittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
We can now discuss that.
I guess, based
Let me
on
do
our
it.
discussion during the, what's it, public hearing?
Work session.
Work
The
session.
prior to the meeting, the topic of staffing came up and the historic, history of having somebody in charge of the, kind of part-time employee managing the farmer's market. And, I think the discussion consensus seemed to be that it was probably something we should revisit. And so, unless there's some other input, public or otherwise, I guess at this time I'd like to make a motion to authorize, Michelle to begin the hiring, search process, I guess, for.
What about the salary? I mean, at what
Well-
rate?
How many hours a
Yeah.
week we talking? Just a-
Part-time, like
I mean,
20
it's gonna-
20 to 25.
The
Yeah.
the hire is gonna have to be approved when she finds it anyway, so I mean, I guess, she suggested something, and I guess kind of leave it up to her to work something out, whatever that when it comes time, like, she can't hire somebody for $100,000 without, our approval, so, she threw
So-
some numbers out there, I was willing to get the best deal we can, but to get a competent person, so.
So basically authorization to proceed with the advertisement of a part-time farmer's market position.
Well,
Aren't they
to-
gonna ask? They're gonna ask.
No, well,
I think we can allocate can you allocate an amount to it, so she can go?
I didn't
You can-
feel comfortable throwing a number out there.
We could do a not to exceed, or we could do a
Yeah,
range.
not to exceed.
Yeah,
What are you thinking, like $15 an hour, or what is a part-time
I mean, I would say,
help?
we really want to keep someone,
15 is where I was thinking.
I thought the same thing.
I don't think you're going to find anybody for that.
I was thinking at least 17.
That's fine.
Lord,
I mean, I get, if they allow us to handle the farmer's market and help you with events also, it's money well spent. I mean, I
$2,000
think
difference.
If they could help with events also, we might need more.
So why don't we say a range of $15 to $17 an hour? Is that,
And Michelle, would you be putting a job description together for it before it goes,
Yes,
before we
so
advertise it?
we have a few
That's not
different
right.
job descriptions for the farmer's market, but, yes, so we'll
Full-time,
basically do
yeah.
the same process that we did for the part-time, for the administrative assistant.
So maybe we could include some of the event stuff in there.
Yeah.
So are we advertising for a part-time employee or a full-time?
It's definitely
Part-time.
part-time?
Okay,
$300 a week.
so 20 hours.
If it was full-time.
We could say 15 to 17.
So there's not too much that the other, I mean, there's maybe 2 hours in the week that they would be able to do other event type things, but the market really is,
Let's
It's
look at to
whole-
satisfy the market right now. Take that off of you. And then if that goes into something else, then we talk about that position changing. Can we do that?
All right, so I guess I've started this motion. Are y'all opposed to me saying 15, or is that?
I think you need to give her a range.
Up to 50?
I
I mean,
mean,
15 is 30.
I think you can find somebody in Hammond.
That's
for $15,
full-time.
but,
Yeah, it's,
I mean,
it's 20 hours a week.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, at $15 an hour, you're talking about basically $30,000 position.
but it's not a full-time.
But it would be cut in half, yeah.
This is what I'd say. 17's fine, but just be astute. Depending on how experienced the person is, what their situation is, negotiate, girl, yeah?
I mean, if they're watching this public meeting,
Well,
they're
that's
gonna
what
be
I'm
like,
saying.
yeah, no, 17.
Oh, yeah,
Might as well just say 17.
My motion is up to $15 an hour. That's my-
Up to $15.
Up to $15, that's my motion.
I like Cassie's idea of does not exceed 17 an hour.
You're hiring people too. You know what you have to pay people right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Well, to get someone, like you said, that would stick and do the job.
So there's a motion on the floor.
Is there a second?
Is there a second?
I second. Wait,
Wait,
are we,
no,
who are we
Frank.
set? Oh, no, sorry. Sorry, Frank.
No, I mean,
Do you want to sub your motion?
I mean, if y'all, one of y'all can do it, I threw mine, we kind of were going back and forth, I just put something out there,
Yeah,
y'all want to
yeah.
substitute, somebody
All right.
substitute.
Chelsea, you want to
Okay.
sub?
Sure, yes.
I'm not going to the mat over here, we had to get something out there. So.
Okay, I sub Frank's motion to say does not exceed 17 an hour.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, so basically I have a motion to authorize advertisement for a part-time employee, 20 hours per week to not exceed $17 per hour. And we have a second from Kaylee. Frank DiVittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicious,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Brennan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
Okay.
Chairman,
Oh, I'm sorry. Went checking that again. So,
Yep.
So next topic is discussion of West Thomas Street and Oak Street.
And I think we should appoint the DDD Design Committee seat. We didn't do that yet.
I thought we did the design.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appointment of the design committee's seats.
Okay, so, we have discussed the opening of the design committee seat, and, we have three, people who have been appointed, and you received three people have been nominated. You're making the appointment tonight for one of them. All of the information for each of the nominees is in your packet. And I believe that all of the nominees are here tonight. So their names are, trying to bring it up, we have Brooke Roberts, Michelle Juneau, and Russell Mayu. So you can see their information here, who nominated them, their resume, and they are required to be a voter in Tangipahoa Parish. Russell's nomination came from John at the board meeting that are in the minutes in the front of the binder. So our protocol to fill this seat basically says that after they submit that required information, that you all as a board appoint them as a committee member.
Michelle, can you, or Cassie, refresh us on what the requirements to be a design committee member are? Do we have that?
Yes, I can pull it up really quickly. Might be easiest to go here.
This is what we talked about in the work session. Apparently it used to be a committee that people look over, because she did.
So our design committee handbook states that to be an eligible member of the design committee, they must live and be registered to vote in Tangipahoa Parish. Committee members must be actively involved in at least one of the following industries: architects, real estate agents, interior designers, contractors, graphic designers, and artists, city planners, previous member of the design committee, board of directors, or Hammond Historic District Commission. I'm assuming that's what I meant to say.
And all, you verified all these people qualify, meet the qualifications.
Yes.
I was not at the design committee meeting. Was there any discussion about this at design committee? Did they make a recommendation?
They did not.
They did not make a recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. I guess, yeah, if y'all would like to come introduce yourself, I guess, who's first up?
Brooke is the first one.
Brooke. Is there?
Hi everyone, my name is Brooke Roberts. I work at Holly and Smith Architects. I would be honored to be a part of this committee. I do have a design background. I am an emerging professional working towards my licensure, and I would just be honored to help this, be a part of this organization to help the community and all the businesses in downtown Hammond. Thank you.
Thanks, Brooke. Thank you.
Michelle?
Hi, I'm Michelle Wilson-Juneau, and I work for Gasaway Bankston Architects, and I'm lead of their interior design department. I have a long history with the downtown, as my mom was on the DDD board for years. My dad helped reinstate the farmers market after it had fallen apart for a few years. And I was a former business owner, so I was on the merchants committee. I have lived in downtown, and my parents owned a building in downtown, so I've kind of seen it from all aspects of the design and the history of what has been going on from the 80s, when there were a lot of empty buildings, and now to see everything flourish is really amazing to see. And I'd love to be a part of that as well.
Would somebody in your family like to take over the farmer's market?
I wish. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Russell?
I'm Russell Mayu. I am the owner, along with my wife, of Ram Properties from Keller Williams. We own a huge office building right here on East Morris, 602 East Morris. My background is about 30 years in the construction industry, starting out with contracts for HUD, actually rebuilding housing projects in New Orleans. That's how I got my start. I'm currently an active real estate agent, but primarily a real estate investor. I have done work for people on the board here, worked for them, with them, very, very closely. I love the city of downtown. I'm getting more and more and more involved every day in so many different aspects. So I think I would be a great fit for you guys, and I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russell.
Michelle, can you remind us who's on the board?
Yeah, I was going to ask about,
Committee
I was about to ask them too. Yeah, I was about to ask the same thing.
And what their employers and roles and everything are?
Just so everyone can see the names as I say them, I'll pull up the past agenda. So our current members include Chris Bankston. What other information do you want?
The employer or roles, jobs, employers, stuff like
I guess I'm giving everyone's resumes, but Chris Bankston's with Gasway and Bankston.
He's an architect.
He's an architect. Tara Bennett she works at the Hammond Regional Arts Center and has an artist background, graphic design background. Roy Dufresh of Dufresh and Associates, is a landscape architect. Tom Pistorius of Pistorius and Associates, he mainly commercial architect. Kathy Reagan,
Okay.
he's our board member and past architect. Jeffrey Smith, architect. Holly and Smith, architects.
So it's mainly, there's no real estate agent, contractors, anything like that? Right? on committee?
Not currently anyone that identifies as that, I would say.
I'd like to make a motion. We appoint Michelle Juno to the position. I've worked with her on the renovation of our bank here in downtown Hammond. As a massive building, to say that all she does is interior design is a massive understatement to what she does. She has an incredible work ethic and great attention to detail. No, she doesn't need my endorsement. She shared her resume and the recommendations in here, but I'd like to make that nomination for Michelle.
A second.
Frank DiVittorio,
No.
John Exnicius,
No.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
No.
Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Haley Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
That was approved.
And I'd
Yeah, I
like
want to explain
point
myself too,
something
yeah.
out. Yeah, so, the two of you, I really appreciate your involvement. It's nothing, not either one, you know. I feel like we need more diversity and more perspectives in there. Both of you already work with somebody that's on a committee. It's heavy architectural design-wise. That's the only reason why if it were a different situation, I'd be glad to vote for both of you. And I'm sorry, I hope y'all maybe even find a place on this committee sooner than later, but thank y'all for y'all's involvement. I'm really, it's not, please don't take anything as a knock on either one of you. That's just my perspective.
Wait, it passed, right?
Right, so she
The motion passed.
Motion.
Michelle.
It is, no, he just wanted to explain his vote, and I feel
Okay.
the same way. All three of you, thank you so much for your interest and your commitment. It has nothing to do with anybody personally. I get concerned about having multiple people from one firm. just in recusal situations, that's it. So thank you all for your commitment, and Michelle, we look forward to working with you.
So, Michelle, I will be in touch. Yes.
There's a meeting Friday morning.
There is a meeting Friday morning. Okay. Next decision.
So, next to that. Alright. So, next on the agenda, discussion of West Thomas Street and Oak Street intersection.
I do want to, just before we move on, Roy is out sick, so the presentation of the Hammond welcome sign will be moved to our March agenda. So I think related to this intersection, I guess there's been kind of some discussion with the safety of that intersection, and we actually do have a business owner here that has firsthand experience with the safety of the intersection. I think Frank actually formally wanted to put this on the agenda for discussion. So maybe I should have put your name by there, but if you would like to kick us off.
Well, I did ask, I'd hoped to have some, from the city to discuss.
And they were all invited.
They were invited, correct?
Yes,
Yes,
they were
Carly
invited.
Gonzalez.
And Carly did reach out to me and say that she was not able to come tonight. She had a previous engagement. That's the only person I've heard from.
The mayor was invited, Lacey was invited, and
Chief.
Chief was invited.
Mhm.
I will say, maybe just, I did provide sort of an email correspondence related to the intersection, that Lacey and I have talked in depth about this intersection, and we have met with DOTD about some of the safety measures that have already been taken, such as instituting a 2-second all red to alleviate a potential of a crash, which there have been many reports of. And so with all that crash data, they were able to implement a 2-second all red there to have people actually stop and slow down so that it can avoid some of those crashes. And then we also took a look at the design of that intersection and how it really needs to be brought up to, modern, basically pedestrian and crosswalk standards, to extend, do a curb cutout, which we have, examples of downtown that have been, with our newer construction, have been installed. This intersection is actually identified in our master plan as one of the
Yep.
first to look at for pedestrian enhancements. So that's obviously more of long-term, but short-term, there was some discussion about the required setback for parallel parking for the crosswalk. And there are basically 2 parking spaces that really should not be there. So one is in front of Mariner Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then the other one is in front of the barber. So in the short term, I don't have any firm dates, but those parking spaces are more than likely to be removed to help alleviate some of the sightline issues that are there. And, more long-term, as we kind of look at what the city is focusing on for sidewalk improvements or intersections, and how we can kind of work together to maybe look at this one, since it's identified in our master plan, as, an all-around safer intersection. Now, we do know that if we try to make it a safer intersection for pedestrians and crossing, there's also issues of delivery trucks over there as well. So we kind of have to tackle all those issues maybe at the same time, because if we're doing curb cuts, we're creating a smaller turn radius than if we already have delivery truck issues there. We had this whole conversation about delivery zones. That would just be chaos to put in sort of a curb cut and then they be ran over by 18-wheelers with,
Right.
no kind of enforcement there. So that kind of maybe brings you all up to speed with some of the work on the back end that has occurred. And, I'll kind of leave it there. And
So just to kind of remind everybody where authority is on this, like, and I've business owner asked me about, or brought this up to me, the topic of these, loading zones have come up repeatedly. We've tried to act on it, or put plans together and things, and it never really seems to get anywhere.
I don't know that we've actually done, like, anything formal to,
Well, somewhere there's a map with proposed loading zone areas.
Yeah, there was a map put together, a camera was put up on the DDD building to monitor the trucks making that turn from Railroad Avenue to Thomas, because we were asked to monitor how many turn there, whether or not there could be a loading zone along the post office.
So one of the issue with that was there's a no parking area right now along the post office on the Crescent side. And we had proposed making that not the only one of the loading zones. DOTD said that that's a no parking thing because the trucks, 18-wheelers, need extra room to swing across. And so they wanted to know how many trucks were actually making that turn, were they using it kind of before they weighed in on it. So there's a map, and there's things. Where I remember it dying is it got to the city, and that's where it went to die.
That's my recollection too. We put all that information together, we turned it over, and we were basically told that there are ordinances in place to deal with deliveries, and nothing further needed to be done.
And there is a state statute that provides trucks and rides to stop on state highway under certain terms and conditions and whatnot. Some of those conditions include distances from intersections, that they have to be distances to each other. Like you can't have and we've all seen it, the two trucks, like this essentially, or like this, where it's, Tetris. That's not okay under this statute. They gotta be 200 feet apart. There's rules, they gotta be so many feet from the intersection. And so the city's answer to that, to some extent, is correct, in that there are some ordinances in place, there are some just rules of traffic in place, that enforcing them could make the situation better. I don't know what, like I said, it's something that's a problem that's not, that I think all of us have had experiences with as well.
every day.
Had businesses that have communicated to us as board members or friends or just people, or seen accidents. I mean, there's this particular intersection, I know of people like that have been hit by a car and crossing the street there, we don't have a police force, the DDD. We don't have any enforcement arm. So at the end of the day, and so I guess this circle back to the loading zones and all, I kind of felt like we can't enforce them if there's not going to be enforcement of them. Why should this board spend more time coming up with ideas and policies and rules and whatever if no one can do anything about it? So I'd hope to ask some of those questions, but there's nobody here that can answer them.
Can I interject something?
Please.
You and I have talked, and I spoke with Edwin, and he had a lieutenant.
I could come up to the.
I really don't. I really don't. I'll just be loud. Lieutenant Peterman came last Thursday, and he said, because I mentioned all of these ordinances, and he said, unless they are blocking a crosswalk, there's nothing they can do. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. He said, no, that's it. Unless they block an entrance to a parking lot, which was in the back of my building, or their parking lot, or on a crosswalk, there's nothing they can do.
You can just stop in the middle of it. Like, I could just stop my car in the middle of it.
So how does New Orleans have loading zones?
And he, and that's who was supposed to know all the traffic stuff. So I was like, we're on the same team, we need to do something. No, nothing.
Well, everybody in here has been in New Orleans and has been to St. Tammy. So I don't know what else to say besides that. I mean, that's what your answer is. So, I mean, I've seen 18-wheelers, parked within inches of driveways. There's a distance they're supposed to be from that. I mean, and I know some of this stuff is knick-knacky and nobody wants to do it, but you don't have to will go out there and issue a bunch of tickets. Like, I mean, they can stop the people, tell them, hey, you know, the truckers either don't know or don't think anybody's enforcing it, you know? I mean, so just, I think some time of being out there, stopping the truck, saying, hey, look, you gotta be so many feet from this, the cars can get by. Just, you gotta be here, you gotta be, you know, you can't stop there. There are rules. I mean, you're correct. We can't, everybody just, 4 18-wheelers could not legally just park from intersection to intersection of the road. That's just not.
And I even brought that up to him, there was
It's not
one
the-
that-
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the, you know.
Crosswalk to PJ.
Mhm.
So,
High
Well,
and low.
Yeah.
we as a DDD don't have the authority to do anything about it. But what we can do is make our voice heard, I guess, at city council meeting.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
That's-
suggest also,
I mean,
Yeah.
that we request to be on the agenda.
Andre is our attorney, and we could ask him for an opinion of, you know, what the trucks can and can't do in traffic. I guess we could do that. We could do a resolution asking the city to enforce the rules. We could do a resolution to send a representative of this board to the city council, asking them to do something. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know what, I mean, I don't think there's anything we can do to, like I said, we don't have an enforcement order. We can't send the enforcer out there to.
Were those accidents having anything to do with the loading trucks, or were they?
No,
separate?
that's a
That
different
was separate
situation.
issues?
Yeah, that intersection has been dangerous. I mean, in the past 2 months, there's almost been 2.
Second,
Yeah.
adding that 2 second has alleviated a lot of screeching and possible accidents.
That's good.
There's not been a crash during business hours since they've added that 2-second stop.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I don't think, at that intersection, I don't think those accidents have been directly loaded. They tend to be.
No.
They tend to be, cars on Thomas trying to
Avoid the red.
beat the light,
Yeah.
and cars coming from Oak Street at full speed, already with a full steam, where they
Right.
don't have to brake check. And then they also tend to be people trying to cross, from your store to Mariners, where the cars are making those sharp lefts, they don't have the blinker on, you don't know they're doing it, and so, and the driver can't see the people, so all of a sudden, bang.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what,
Or even the ones that are heading south and they're a dead stop
Yeah.
on Oak Street. At the barber shop parking spot, they can't see if somebody's
Yeah.
Comment, right.
at all. And they could be the dead stop, the light turns green, they look, they don't see it, so that's
Yeah.
why that 2-second.
Well, we're probably getting close to the point where we need to, the amount of traffic in our downtown, we need to look at those pedestrian crossings, you know, at where you push and there's a light and it says whether or not you can go, because I've almost been hit between Mariners and Bookstore.
Yeah.
The guy looked at me, stared me in the eye while he almost ran me over.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so, again, that's probably not us, that's gonna be us trying to work with the city to see, a cooperative endeavor to make that happen.
And given the fact that we are working with the state highway.
Right, that's gonna impact it too,
Yeah.
but, DOTD will have to weigh on anything, Thomas, Morris, Railroad Avenue, and Oak Street.
Yes.
I don't know if we really need any kind of resolution to this, but I would like, Michelle, I would like to have Michelle just ask Andre for a summary of the traffic ordinances and laws that limit where the 18-wheelers can, a formal opinion, where they can stop, not stop.
Is that in Andre's purview? Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Do you mind?
No, I mean, do you have to make a
Okay.
motion for that?
No, that's what
No.
I'm
Okay,
saying.
you don't.
Needs a
Yeah,
vote.
yeah.
On my task
If
list.
there's some other strong way opposed to that, I guess we could.
Yeah.
But
I'd be curious to know.
Yeah.
I'd like-
I'm actually meeting with Andre next Thursday.
Mhm.
So I'll
But
have that.
I do think at some point, we probably all, more than one of us needs to go to the
Yes.
city council meeting and make it heard that the people in the downtown development district want to see some enforcement of,
The existing traffic.
yeah,
Existing ordinances.
yeah. Once we know what they are.
Right.
Then we can be more knowledgeable when we go. But I do think that we should keep that on our watch list, and we need to go as a group to represent the downtown development district.
I agree.
And just to kind of, not to pass the buck here, but the city council, even the city council really doesn't have direct any direct authority to, like, the city council can't direct a policeman to go out there and write tickets. They don't have that authority. So that's good, and they have more direct power than we do over it. But even the city council itself can't, they could pass another,
Maybe that's what we
ordinance,
need, yeah, they could pass an
but
ordinance.
someone has to go out there
Yeah.
and do it, and that.
Well,
that-
it's, you have another next logical step?
Yeah.
Is there another step that you recommend that makes more sense than going to the city council?
Well, the mayor could direct the chief of police to direct an officer to go enforce the ticket.
Okay, we're not going to get political tonight. If you'll
But I
do
think we
that,
could
that
do
would be
that,
great.
yeah.
You asked me a question about the chain of command, that's the chain of command.
All right,
Or anything
Traffic
else?
ordinances.
Yeah, great.
We'll start there.
so next
Thank
order.
you all for addressing it, and it's going somewhere, there's forward motion to keep people safe and safe.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, discussion of sidewalk improvement reimbursement request from La Coretta.
So you turn 2 pages, you'll see, I'm not quite sure what order it's in, because I had Katie kind of help me with organizing all these documents, but if you haven't reviewed it yet, you'll want to take a look at this first page with the reimbursement request. So I think there's some, I guess, history with this request that I kind of want to bring everyone up to speed on. Just so everything's kind of clear as you're looking through the numbers. Basically, what we have in front of us was built as a second bid alternate for whenever we put the bid out for Railroad Park. So that's why you have this map in your packet. I have pulled up here too. It's going to take me a minute, maybe. So the request in front of us is for that second bid alternate area, and I know the map is kind of small, but whenever we were putting Rover Park out to bid, we knew that it was kind of in the best interest of time to renovate that entire block. For some reason, page 5 is not loading. Guess it wasn't just your computer, Frank, it was everyone's computer. Oh, there it goes. So, so whenever we put out the bid for Railroad Park, we had the second alternate added, which is this area over here, which are the sidewalks that are around La Coretta on Northwest Railroad Avenue, and then are also on West Charles Street. So that's this entire area from here to here. So the request that you have in front of you is, it details the schedule of values for how that bid came back. That is what we are discussing tonight. Traditionally, our sidewalk reimbursements are a 3-way split. So that's how this request was submitted to us and to the city. Saul and Mary are here if you have any questions. Now, just so you know, basically this has not gone before council, so the way we have, that's why there's 2 agenda items on for this item, is because if you approve to do the reimbursement amount, then we have to do another motion basically to approve for those funds to be pulled from our general fund, because we do not budget. We haven't budgeted for sidewalk improvements. That doesn't mean we don't have the money for it. We have it in our general fund, but when we did our budget for this fiscal year, we didn't put anything in that line item. So we do have the funds available in our general fund, but that's why we have to do 2 separate motions, one to approve the amount and then a second to approve moving the money from our general fund contingent upon the council's approval. So you can make your decision tonight, and, you know, that won't basically take place until the council approves
Approves.
theirs.
If anybody makes a motion to approve it, they just need to make it subject to, the first one subject to the budget.
It's on the agenda too. Yeah, it's on the agenda.
So on our past reimbursements, did it include design fees?
So in my review, and I did go ahead and include this information for you all, we historically have not paid for design fees.
That's what, I thought it was the actual work to construct. The design fees are on the owner.
Right. So of this request, around $10,000 are design fees and project administration fees from Roy Dufresh and Associates. The Kelly Construction invoices here, which roughly add up to, I guess, what would be the actual bid amount.
Yeah, I was gonna say the alternate two, would be the 119
Yes, which is
divided by 3.
119.
Michelle, when you say that, I guess, why didn't we budget for this if we agreed to it?
So I think that's a very good question, and I think that as we move forward with these reimbursements, that if we continue to offer this as a benefit to seeing our sidewalks improved, you know, we do this split for enhanced sidewalks, so everything from lighting to street trees, and to have an aesthetic to our sidewalks that create an inviting walking environment. And so it's not just any kind of sidewalk that we're going to do a reimbursement for. But part of my fact-finding of this whole situation was trying to understand, you know, if we're offering this, why aren't we budgeting for it? So I think once we, you know, see how we want to proceed with this one, as we look at our other sidewalk reimbursements, you know, I think we have a lot of process that we need to do before we're able to sort of confidently move forward with future
Yeah,
ones.
I think we need a formal procedure moving forward.
And
for
that
doing
was
this.
actually what precipitated me wanting to meet with Andre, was to kind of see what his best recommendation was. Now, that's not to say, there's obviously a way to do it. I think all that we would need to do is just restructure the process, so we have a cooperative endeavor agreement beforehand, so that each party is informed about kind of what they're getting into, and there's no issues for confusion. But right now, since it basically winds up being something that happens, the cooperative endeavor agreement comes after the work is performed. Basically, it's like, here's notification of this work, and also we're asking for X amount of money.
Right.
So it'd be good for every party to be informed about
Which
what
is
the
probably why we
process
don't have
is
them.
and
Yeah,
Budgeted
what the
for it,
expense is
right.
before they're being asked to spend money.
yeah, we definitely need to do that.
And just, one thing that kind of quirks this one up, well, one of the many things that kind of quirked this one up too a little bit, is that this was really initiated by the DDD as part of the Railroad Park project.
Yes.
And is there a reason in the past that the design portion is not paid for by us? Has not been? I just want to know.
It's
the
just
logic behind it.
historically, the amount of the work is what the city and the DDD has reimbursed.
So in our past reimbursements, it's been construction, labor, landscaping.
Yeah, landscape.
Demolition, and even overhead. So basically, what the actual schedule of values is for the bid, which is this sheet right here.
That's
Everything
what,
on here, we have basically reimbursed for in the past.
right.
So kind of, no, there's no like, that's one of the things we kind of discovered when we looked at this, is just that there's not a formal limit, there's not a formal criteria, there's not a formal amount, there's not a formal, other than, I think there's some customs that have been, like, one custom that's probably not written anywhere, that it's always been that the sidewalk had to be above the standard concrete, like, you couldn't just, you know, it had to be aesthetically.
They had to incorporate the brick into it and the tree grates and follow like the tree planting that's been established as part of the master plan.
It was a way to kind of encourage fancier, or better kind of sidewalks.
Better.
Nicer, more aesthetically
Better.
pleasing.
Enhanced.
Michelle, where's the money at in our budget for this?
So this would be coming out of our general fund. So, we have over 400. $163. Is what is in our general fund.
So this is something that, maybe Michelle, on the front end of this was discussed, there was communication with the prior director and the landowner. This is not, we're not blindsided. This is something we all, there was communication that.
We should have, we expected,
that
basically.
This was coming.
Yeah.
Yes. So do we need to make a motion? Okay.
Yeah, so you need to make a motion of the amount that you approve, and then you need to
Okay.
make a motion to move that amount from the general fund contingent upon city council approval.
We had these
Okay.
separate things, okay?
Yeah, it's
One-
on the agenda.
So I guess I'll make a motion to approve the 1/3 of the request, subject to,
Of the 119,000, the construction cost?
The alternate bid.
again, I'm throwing a motion out. My motion is to approve 1/3 of the total request, subject to the funds being moved and approved, the budget adjustment being approved.
What is the total request?
128,894.72.
So you want to include the design fees?
I mean, it was done pursuant to our, those fees were incurred. This is completely pursuant to our contract. If we had done this as, this was part of our railroad project, if we had went forward with it and done this ourselves directly, that's what we would have paid, 128.
We had already
No, we
paid
paid
Roy for
119.
design fees.
Now, his fees were contingent, weren't his fees based on the percentage of construction?
I recall that his fees were a percentage of construction.
Yeah, so we would have, this is our contract. That's where his fees came from.
So for your, is for 1/3 of the 128?
Yes.
I second.
So just so everyone's informed, that share is $42,964.91. And we have a motion by Frank, second by Evan. Frank DiVittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Pesnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Kathy Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
So I guess we just did everything in one motion.
No.
No, we need to make a separate motion to, yeah. I'll make the motion to move the funds from, to present to this, to ask the city council's approval to move our funds, the funds that we just approved from the DDD general fund.
I'll second.
Frank DiVittorio,
Yes.
John Exnicius.
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Pesnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Kathy Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
I definitely think we should, I mean, at the next meeting, this, especially, we've just done something that we didn't do previously with these, so now we've created this whole kind of situation where we don't have any procedure in place or anything, so, yeah, there's no standard.
Right. And so I would like to, I think we need to make sure that we, because as we discovered, we were discussing in that part, that this thing has not been, it's very vague and ambiguous. There's a lot of ambiguity there, uncertainty. I think everybody needs certainty. The potential owners need certainty. The people whose money we're spending need certainty. I would like, and I don't want anybody to get caught in the middle while we're trying to change stuff, saying that, oh, they did something relying on this, or we're told that. I would like to formally put everybody on notice that none of these, no further sidewalk sharing things would be approved considered or approved until we adopt a formal procedure as to what's included in those applications and what the criteria are to getting. And so I would like to move to amend the agenda to put a stay on consideration of future sidewalk projects until we adopt the procedure.
Do we know if there's anyone that is currently working towards this? So if that's the case, then I don't, like, if there's somebody that is currently,
Can we just be more positive and
Yeah.
present a format at the next meeting?
next
Rather
meeting.
than,
and this
You
is
know.
what you're meeting with,
Right, so well, to
Michelle?
answer your question, Elizabeth,
Yes,
there
the first.
are more than likely at least two, to my knowledge, that will be occurring this year.
Currently? Okay, yeah, that are,
And then, like I said, I am meeting with Andre next
Mhm.
Thursday morning to discuss this very item. So, in the hopes of presenting a process to you all at our March meeting so that we can get ahead of those
Yeah.
future requests and make sure that every party is informed. And also, if we're doing these, that we're budgeting for them, because that's why we have to move these funds, is because we're not budgeting for it. So if we know that we do have two coming up, and their project timeline is actually in our 2024 fiscal year, would be in July, and as we're making that budget over these next couple of months, then we would want to put those funds there so that we don't have
to move,
to, at that point, then we wouldn't have to actually go to council to have that budget amendment.
Right.
They would basically just be making their own decision if they want to secure the third. So,
But we don't, but neither of those two projects have actually spent money on the assumption that they were getting reimbursed yet.
to my knowledge, there's been no discussion with any other entity that, moving forward with a third,
right, yeah.
And we have no way of knowing who is gonna spend money in the next 2 weeks without knowing that we're talking about changing the whole game.
Right. My knowledge of upcoming projects is basically upon what the design committee has reviewed and what the historic district has reviewed for plans for approval. So, not having construction documents in front of me and what their timeline is, but those would be projects that would be eligible for this type of benefit.
right, this kind of project would already have to have come before a design committee. They'd be in a permitting process or under construction. So, no, nothing's going to come up before our next meeting.
So, again, I don't, again, it's a motion, it needs unanimous approval to be able to adopt it, but I think the worst case scenario is someone spend money expecting something to happen, and then we change the rules and then tell them no. I think it covers us the best to formally, publicly here say, we're not, whatever happened in the past is the past. We're gonna find some rules, and going forward, we're gonna follow that procedure now. So that's the only reason why I'm making the motion. So that's,
Is there a second? Yeah.
all right, next. Retreat recap.
So, what you have in your packet, is basically just a short synopsis of what, the folks at LAD have prepared for us. The full report is not available yet, but they did provide this, just so that we would have a touch point in conversation, as you all, if you would like to have that conversation today. I think once we get the full report back, we'll be able to, I can kind of like digest it and take a look at it and see how we're gonna operationalize some of these things. But just kind of giving that to you now, since they kind of handed over to me, and if you all had any insights from what's presented.
I also requested, if y'all recall, there were two topics discussed. What was it, Michelle? The abandoned vacant properties and what was the other thing?
Yeah, the West Monroe, we wanted to see the West Monroe thing.
Yeah.
And what was the other?
Buried power lines.
Buried power lines. So I've requested those things, and as soon as I get them, I'll share them with everybody else.
I will say that everything listed here is, I think, work in my mind that I know that we already need to be doing. And that's where our discussion of events kind of comes into play about having the time to do these things. So,
Anything else on that? Okay. Next on the agenda, discussion of DDD events.
So I just added this on our regular meeting agenda in the event that, we just had a work session on our events. So if any, basically decisions, I guess, wanted to be made regarding our events, we would have the opportunity to do that now. No pressure to do so, but I think that was the thinking that Elton and I had.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we really made any formal decisions other than that we want to streamline events maybe and eliminate trick or treat. We definitely made that decision to eliminate trick or treat downtown and take Small Business Saturday off the DD's plate. And see if we can't kind of get more community involvement, more support from the restaurants and bars for Hot August Night.
Again, I know I wasn't here for that, but I'm just curious, what was it, the retreat, why the trick or treat eliminate?
Just because we have so many events. It's not particularly well-liked by any of the business owners. It's not particularly liked by even the parents that went last year that brought their children.
Okay.
It just doesn't seem like it's, meets with our vision of like supporting their businesses. And there's so many trick-or-treat events already.
Okay.
And so in place of that, we do
Yeah.
something at the farmer's market, Fall
yeah.
Fest, and we can, there's a trunk or treat that Southeastern does at Friendship Circle, so if people want something that's close to downtown, we can kind of lead them that direction.
Because that has gotten big, there's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
It had the
It's
most-
too,
I think that's why
it had
it
the most
was
business
kind of,
Too much.
participation, But the most businesses participated this year.
But I think if you poll those businesses who participated, Frank, you're going to find out they were a little disillusioned this past year.
I mean, the expense of candy ends up being more than we pay for like Hot August Night and Sorry November Night, and it's gone in 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think, John, another important thing that I voiced was, yeah, it's bringing people to downtown, but they're only there for that.
Right.
They're not coming into our
they're not
business.
supporting, they're not
Yeah.
supporting our business.
And then, it's also pushing people who want to come in to eat or whatever away as well.
And on the survey, it came back as the least, one of the least
Yeah.
needed, I guess, people said.
Gotcha, okay.
Ranked last.
So are you making a motion to do it, or?
I don't
just-
think we need to,
Okay.
yeah.
And then just other direction is getting bar and restaurant owners together to try to get them to meet and really see where they're at with trying to take ownership for what Hot August Night would look like.
Could we maybe set a date or something to get that going, so we can get some feedback from the bar and restaurant owners?
I mean, I think in the past, the last time that we met with bar and restaurant owners, it was at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday, and we had quite a few there. So usually I think what we've done is kind of send them a few times that work for them. But, we could, time is of the essence, so ideally before, definitely it'll probably be after Mardi Gras, but I can try to do it before our next board meeting so that going.
Well, let us know if you set a date, because I think as many of us as possible should try to attend to.
The Hot August Night is going to be a night, or is that still?
So we had a work session before this, and what we want to do is have a meeting with restaurant and bar owners, since it's mainly a event that benefits them, and see if they're interested in helping streamline that for the DDD, make it more of a you know, the stops be at the restaurants and bars, like with a signature cocktail or a signature bite or something like that. And if businesses want to participate, they could, but it's not a merchant funded event that benefits other. So it's a discussion. It's a discussion to see if they want to take some ownership of it.
And that, just to clarify, that came from our retreat when we discussed just taking event planning, so primarily off of the plate of the people in the office.
Going back to parking lots being blocked and all that.
Well, okay, so we talked about in streamlining it, not having the kind of carnival atmosphere, having that set up, eliminating that, making it more food, drink, and music oriented. Yeah, so it's up for discussion. We also, I think we discussed a little bit the possibility that it could move to a Saturday, but it's going to have to be buy-in and commitment on it before any decisions are made. It's mainly bringing people to the table to discuss what the possibilities are.
And what would be the goal as far as how much responsibility will go on the restaurants? Like, they basically handling everything, their staff, like, what would be the?
I mean, that's happening now to a degree. I think we just kind of talked about eliminating them paying money to get the wine, like the cocktail. Yeah, that would just be on.
Yeah, basically the DDD's role would be more or less advertising.
Yeah.
And not so much involved in the planning. If they want to, we basically give them the process of what they need to do, and they tell us what we're doing, and then we have a map, we advertise for the event, but we're not sort of in, because right now what we do is we collect money, we give out the wine, we give out the cheese, we do all those types of things, and restaurants, they participated with Starry by doing, you know, a small bite and app, but I think most of them enjoyed doing that. So I think we're pulling some pieces that worked well for Starry Saturday last year, and then maybe revisiting some of those in that format with the bar and restaurant owners to see what does a more concerted effort on their end really look like with sustaining this event, so it doesn't wind up taking up, you know.
Well, and we're taking off the wine walk, so all the organization and the work goes behind that, taking out the vendors, the food trucks, so it takes out the organization of all of that.
Really,
So
just the band would be the only thing that would be.
and even if we did a band, or if the restaurants, bars, or a business, or somebody else wanted to do a
Live
band,
music hotspot.
Yeah.
right.
We would just be saying, okay, what are you doing?
Michelle becomes the facilitator,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the
Not the
worker.
organizer.
Right.
Yeah.
Not plugging in extension cords in the rain.
Oh, yeah.
And you said Starry was a lot easier moving to the all-day Saturday format and eliminating a lot of that stuff. So basically, be looking at Starry, making it easier, making it more merchant-driven, and Michelle and her staff being the facilitator again. So.
Being able to focus our efforts, you know, doing a better job with targeted, if it is related to an event, doing a better job with that targeted marketing, but also just marketing in general. So we'll find a balance.
All right. Next on the agenda, DD office ending of the warranty period.
So I just wanted to kind of bring this to your attention, is that I actually think our warranty period ends fairly soon, within a week. I have notified the contractor that our office renovation, and you can see the list of items that I've asked them to correct before the end of the warranty period, and I have just received confirmation that they will be on site for 1 o'clock on Friday. So the items include replacing certain areas of the floor that have come up. There's some work that needs to be done on one of our exterior doors.
What kind of floor is that, Michelle? Is it just a floating floor?
It's a floating vinyl.
So the tiles are, the surface of the tile is coming up from the bottom of the tile or the whole tile?
There's a few different situations, things that are happening. One being that where the seam is for one of the pieces, the corner is just coming up, and it may be due to our chairs rolling. So one thing that they recommended, they will replace it. One thing that they recommended is that we do get some mats to cover the floor so that they don't continue to be damaged. I mean, I think it needs a little bit more diagnostics because it almost looks like we have moisture issues coming up underneath the floor, and it is a slab, and you know, I'm not a contractor, but it does look like there's some moisture issues. So I don't really know what that looks like for the long term, but for the short term, they said they can repair the areas that we have damaged.
And you said they're coming on Friday?
Yes.
We got the sewage issue has been,
Yeah, the sewage has been resolved to the best of mine. I mean, I don't see anything, so, and that's kind of what you want to see with sewage, is nothing.
the refrigerator door got routed out, whatever's the door closes.
Yes.
That's all I know.
All right. So next on the agenda, Railroad Park.
So, let's see here. First thing we have is, well, pertaining to Railroad Park, for those of you who don't know, there was actually an accident that occurred on January 29th that took out our fountain and the fence behind the mural.
The water fountain.
The water fountain.
Not the,
Yeah, not the big fountain. But, so we've put in a claim for that. The insurance is gonna be paying for the fountain, and they'll be paying to rebuild that fence. So we'll see. The park is also still under warranty, until, I believe, April, but, it looks a bit rough right now, but it will be repaired soon. The history exhibit project is kind of one of those things that are looming. We do have grant funds for this. It's around $8,000, and we are required to spend these funds by August 15th. So some of the items that you have in here, I didn't want Katie to print all this, but she did go ahead and print everything. But you can kind of see basically a work plan with dates, and just setting some hard dates and deadlines for us to really get our work group involved and going. There are several public input sessions. Basically, we do an introductory phase with our most complete draft, and then a second phase in April, I believe, or it might be in June, I can't quite remember, for final approval. Yeah, April for final approval. So, and that includes going in front of, it's been requested that we actually present this project to City Council as kind of putting them, to let them know at the meeting that this is something that we're doing and we would like to have anyone involved. So it would just simply be, this is a project that we're doing, kind of giving them a presentation about what's going on, and so that they can help spread the word for other people to get involved, to really have as much an inclusive history of Hammond as we can related to our areas. So council, design committee, farmers market input sessions, historic district, you kind of see those listed there. Our goal is to kind of get these draft narratives complete in March so that we're all looking at something more concrete, so it doesn't continue to just be this abstract thing that we keep discussing. And so you can kind of see some of that layout here. We were supposed to meet today, but unfortunately that didn't work out, so we are meeting next Wednesday on the 22nd to give a bit more concerted effort to this, because it is time sensitive and it will need to be a major focus of ours this spring. Any questions about those? So, brick and bench revenue, I did update this yesterday. We're running a sale right now, and just to try to finish out that section that we made the goal for to finish out. So they're 50% off between, well, this week, so get them before the 18th. And that's gonna be our hard stop for quite some time so that we can get these to the engraver, we can get them delivered to us, and they can be installed. Hopefully sometime, late spring.
How many are left?
Well, the entire amount that we have in that area is like 320, and we've sold 175. And this was as of yesterday, so we.
So you're not necessarily gonna wait till you get 300, you're just.
No, we need to really, this needs to be the last sale that we do before we place the order and just get them installed. So we may not hit our goal, but.
And so they're gonna be, so how much are they right now?
So they're around $65 for the text bricks, and then $100 for a logo brick.
The logos are the same size as the regular.
Yeah.
Are we gonna talk about, at any point, I know we talked about it before, but like getting money for furniture possibly that's a little bit nicer?
So you can kind of see just like a rough estimate. I just kind of roughed the expenses for the benches and the bricks based upon our expenses last time. It's very likely that it's going to be more expensive just with everything that we've seen. But so with that kind of estimate, we have around 23,000 that we have a balance on between our brick and bench revenue. So I would assume that a portion of that needs to be prioritized for our history exhibits to make sure we can finish that cost out, because it will probably be more, each panel will probably wind up being, we're definitely going to exceed the grant fund that we have. So that will kind of be the first priority. And then Roy and I did source some options from the same company, courtyard furniture options, that could have actually a plaque installed on them. So I think it's kind of on the back burner, but we do have some options.
Okay.
So we need to see where we shake out with the history panels and then go from there.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that, we can't do another blast like how we did for the benches, for sponsorships, for the courtyard furniture. I just haven't quite had the time to.
And I mean, do we have to have plaque? I feel like we're plaquing up everything. I mean, is that normal?
Just to have somebody sponsor
That's,
us, pay for it.
yeah,
I
that's
know.
one way
No,
to,
I know it's money, but.
right.
The patio furniture has that plaque. I don't know. But
Well, are we waiting and we see what we have left from
Yeah.
the history panels, and then we spend that money on furniture?
Yeah.
I just
or
agree with
some of
John,
it
those
on
picnic
furniture.
tables are really ugly. They're
I
junking up
think-
our pretty new park.
Right. I think one thing that Roy and I have discussed related to the courtyard furniture is whether it would be, like, obviously, it probably wouldn't be mounted into the ground, so that's just one thing to kind of consider. Usually it's more of like freestyle, it can kind of be moved around, but that could also be moved without our permission. So that's just maybe something to consider when we're looking at a style, where the table's mounted and the chairs are kind of free-floating.
So they need to be able to move and not move, if that makes any sense. Because I've seen chairs around here that, at restaurants and things, that they have to be either pulled in or locked down. So I think they should be, we just need to get like a bolt or something where they put it in there, you lock it in place, and then you can also take it. We gotta be able to move them though, because at times you're gonna want it open and reconfigured, so we just need to make sure there's
Yeah, so
some kind of anchors for them.
those options I have not seen. I basically have just seen ones where it's just your basic kind of outdoor bistro, like they kind of fit the more sturdy wrought iron style that we have for the benches, but that's all a consideration of what we're actually telling people they're gonna buy, how it's mounted.
And another thing, I don't know if it'd be worth it too, just as a thought whenever we get to that, but the tall boy type tables that people can just kind of stand and have a coffee rather than necessarily sitting. I've seen that I've seen that before, and it might not be as bulky or, what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like,
It's just a thought.
come and go.
Good idea.
Yeah, but anyway.
Roy is meeting with the contractor to see about the cost to install some sort of stage roof, which is probably just some a corrugated plastic over the metal platform that's already there, and then covering the drains with a solid piece of metal. We did discuss electrical improvements. We still have issues, so we'll revisit that in March. Right now, we're maintaining, we're managing, but I think
Just get that, just figure out how to fix it.
well, we have to go out to bid.
Well, I know, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, let's just,
Yeah, once I have some time to do that, we'll do that. Okay, so last thing, any other questions about the park? Okay, I did mention everything about fountain. The last thing is just my staff report. And honestly, can't remember what I have on here. But you all got a kind of a copy of the annual report, which I have not published yet, just because I've been so busy, but I did get that done before our retreat. And let's see, that's on the printout. So the first thing I have in here is we did hire Katie Taylor, and I think she put a note in everyone's binder, which was kind of cute. So she's with us part-time. She'll be full-time in March. So her being there, 10 to 15 hours a week is really helpful. She's really excited and is kind of able to assist in all the areas. So I think she's a perfect fit, and I'm excited for you all to get to know her. She couldn't be here tonight because she was working, but you'll have an opportunity to meet her hopefully before our next board meeting. Kind of talked about the annual report, and we did I Heart Hammond and the brick sale. We dropped off hearts Monday and Tuesday, and I got to do some face-to-face visits with the West Side merchants that were open on Monday, and actually went into Quinn's auto repair. That was very interesting.
Yes.
He's passionate about trees. He wants to see our trees restored. It was good to chat with everyone, though. For Main Street, you can see one of the assessments we have to do every year in here, just so you can kind of see what Main Street is kind of looking at. I know that some of you may or may not be familiar with Main Street and how much almost time that kind of takes out of maintaining that accreditation. But you can see our community assessment worksheet that we have to submit every year. There are scholarship funds from the state program to pursue the Main Street Revitalization Professional Credential, and I am pursuing that right now and am attending a particular class with the conference in March to basically obtain that. I've already booked everything for the conference. We are required to go every year, so as a part of our accreditation, so that will be for March 24th to 29th. Some outside networking. I'm not quite sure if you all are familiar with the maybe I missed a word here, but South Center for Planning and Development Commission. Tom Pierce is who has been kind of communicating with our office, but they basically wrote for some disaster relief funds from the Small Business Administration, and the way they're kind of set up is they have certain target areas with parishes, and there will be some, it'll be loans, but there will be a certain percent that's forgiven for Hurricane Ida business loss, basically. So they are actually looking for an office in Hammond to be their headquarters to do their work. And I will get more specific information kind of as I get it. But they have been awarded, and I believe everything will be officially announced fairly soon. So looking forward. What was that?
You didn't accidentally let the cat.
No, based upon what he said, he was like, yeah, you can tell your board, but the specific announcement for we're now accepting applications is forthcoming. I'm actually meeting with Ginger tomorrow. We're just kind of touching base, and I haven't had the chance to meet her outside of an event, so I think it'll be good to sit down with her. We're actually a cultural district too, if you didn't know, with all the layers that we have, but we're a cultural district, and we submitted that annual report, and then our intern Jamie is with us with the farmers market, and our Snap Match program is launching this Saturday. And those are funds from a state, basically a state created, the legislature created this fund to support farmers markets and local farmers to maximize the use of SNAP benefits.
That's great.
More locally.
Real quick, I know we talked about those flags that were not ever put up, that we were on Main
Yes.
Street. Did we able to get those up?
It's on my list. So we have these GAMSA banners that we never displayed between those two poles that are at the entrance of Coleman and Southwest Railroad. So
Barbecue one? The barbecue banners?
yes, yeah. So we're just gonna put up a GAMSA banner there.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it is on my list to kind of do like a last, like, social media kind of shout out thing. I'm thinking about breaking up our annual report into certain components and doing like a campaign with it. So, yeah, we'll be driving
Like
home
some,
again.
like something like remembering 2022 and all the crap that happened.
Sounds like a good first project for Katie.
Yeah.
Under her belt.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like we're already a third of the way through the year,
fine.
it's kind of unbelievable. But I'm trying to think about anything else. There probably are other things, but that's what we have for right now.
What?
I got a wine dinner to go to. I know. So is that it? I'm so excited to be able to do this. Meeting adjourned, right? That's it. All in favor?
Good work.
All right.